And welcome back. Global Kids is a not-for-profit organization that's developing youth leaders through dynamic global education and leadership development programs. The organization recently had a special event providing young people with the opportunity to identify critical issues directly affecting their community and the world. And we're pleased to have the Director of Curriculum and Special Projects at Global Kids, Jatnna Ramirez. And thank you so much for being with us, Jatnna.
Thank you for having me.
So for somebody who may not be so familiar, I gave a little bit of intro as to Global Kids, but give us a little bit more.
Sure. So Global Kids is a nonprofit youth organization. We work with young people throughout New York City, all five boroughs, and Washington, D.C. Our focus of work is human rights education and global education and preparing young people to be leaders in their lives and their communities, right? We are helping students feel prepared to take on whatever challenges come their way. We educate, activate, and inspire them to take action on the most critical issues facing our world.
When we talk about young people being involved in issues, that doesn't always happen, but it seems as though you've got a great opportunity to really connect and have these conversations. What's it like when you begin the education process? And I mean, some of them already know, but really taking them through, working through, and understanding these very important matters.
Sure. The young people that we work with, young people throughout the city, they are really smart, really talented young people. They care about what they're seeing happening in their community, but rarely they're asked their opinions and their thoughts, right? They are already thinking and observing and being impacted by the issues facing their neighborhoods, their national and global community. And so when given the platform and given the resources, they jump to the opportunity of, speaking their minds and asking questions and taking action. Some young people have other needs that need to be met. They may be struggling academically. They may have issues happening in their homes. But once you help them take care of those issues, and again, you give them the platform, you give them the space, you connect with them on a personal level, right? A lot of our young people need an adult in their lives who they can have healthy relationships with, who can be their mentors. And so Global Kids is always providing our young people with, again, the platform, the space, the resources, the mentorship that they need to take actions on the issues that they care about.
Yeah. And so I know one of the issues that you're dealing with is tackling hate crimes. We see it happen all across the United States, in New York City. They happen frequently. And so many times our young people are looking and watching and having and raising a voice. But talk to us about how you're tackling that.
Sure. So for the youth conference that we organize every year, we've been organizing a youth conference every year for the past 30 plus years with our young people. They actually pick a topic, and this year they picked hate crimes as the topic, right? So we bring them together. Again, this is young people from all over the city. We have them talk about what are the human rights issues that they're seeing happening in their community that they care about. And our young people come from very diverse backgrounds. We have students that are, African American students, students who are immigrants, Latinos, East Asian students, Arabic students, right? And so they see their identities being targeted. They see it in the news, they see it in their lives. And so they see the issue of hate crimes, and they have concerns, and they have, fears about, am I going to be next? During the time that we were organizing the conference was when the shooting in Buffalo happened, right? So they see it and they're concerned, and they have fears, and they want to do something about it. And so that's why they chose hate crimes as the topic. These are young people who also have gone through the pandemic very recently and have seen the rise in hate crimes, especially against Asian Americans and people in the Asian American community. And so for some of our students are from Asia, some are not. Even those who are not, they have seen other parts of their identity, whether they're part of the LGBTQ community, whether they're immigrants, whether they're Muslims, right? And so this is an issue that brings them together because their identities are targeted. they are the base of target for hate crimes, and so they decided that they needed to do something about it, and so they chose hate crimes as the topic for our youth conference.
Yeah. Take us into the youth conference for a minute. What was the conversation like? What were you hearing from them when it comes to these issues?
So we have our core group of young people who organize the conference. So this is an entirely youth-led process. So the young people, they knew they care about it. They see it happening in their community, but before they could educate their peers, they had to educate themselves. So they did research about hate crimes, how it impacts different groups throughout the U.S. and outside, right? So we're global kids. We care about what's happening outside of the U.S. in our global community, and so they did a lot of research to learn how hate crimes impact different communities, what are the root causes, what can be done. And so after that, they prepare workshops, peer education workshops that were interactive so that they could educate their peers on it. So the day of the conference, we had special performances by our young people. We had guest speakers, and then we had these peer education workshops. And so the day of the conversations that I could hear from our young people was that this was needed, that these conversations were needed, that they couldn't continue to just hear about it in the news and not do anything about it. And that our elected officials also have a responsibility to take action on this, right? Sometimes, oftentimes, our young people have a feeling that they're not being heard by the people making decisions, by the people who are guiding the policy making process, right? And they want to be part of those conversations.
Yeah. Your work with young people in this area. I mean, obviously, to have them come together to talk, to vent out the issues, to discuss the issues, it's really a great thing because these kids are showing that they're necessarily involved in what's going on in society. But I also want to take the time to talk about the impact of it because as you have these young people, it was brought to my attention that, these kids in particular, when it comes to going back to school and being active in school, they're not just doing this at this level, they're also highly successful in the educational field at their schools that they attend.
That's right. So in the process of learning about human rights issue and global issues and taking action, our young people are developing important life skills and important academic skills. So everything from, like I said, they had to do research on the topic. So not only do they care about it, but they're knowledgeable on the topic and are able to articulate their thoughts on it and understand why, right? So they're doing research, they're engaging in critical thinking, they're engaging in communication, in teamwork, they're engaging in public speaking skills, right? So a lot of the young people after the conference where they were like, I could never have seen myself before this speaking to a crowd of people like that. Like, I can't believe I just did that, right? So building that confidence too that a lot of young people need to be successful in all areas of their lives. So it's a process that is important based on the work that they're doing, right? But the skills that they develop along the way as well.
Yeah. So as the summer's upon us, you just came out of this wonderfully successful conference. Talk to us about what else you got coming up.
So like I said, this conference is an annual event. So already their minds are thinking about what to do next year. I hear some students saying that they want to focus on climate justice. But again, we take them through a consensus building process. So there are different issues that some of them want to focus on. And so they go through a process to select the topic. So we'll plan another conference next year. And then for the summer, we have a lot of programming, Global Kids. So the conference was organized with high school students, but we serve also hundreds of middle school students throughout the summer. So we are running summer camps to engage young people into, fun activities while also learning about human rights and global education. We have programming for high school students. We, run SYP programs. We also have a special partnership with the Council on Foreign Relations so that students can learn about foreign policy and how they can be involved and be global citizens. So that's coming up too. And before you know it, we'll be starting the new school year again. So we have a lot going on, and I encourage any young person who's interested to join us and be part of this movement.
Yeah, you kind of stole my thunder about the next question I was going to ask you. Who's eligible to really be a part of this?
Pretty much anyone outside of the city commute into the city to be part of the program. So we work in school-based programs, and so the students that attend those schools participate, but this is a citywide program. And so if you are a high school student, you can participate. If you're in middle school, we have programs for you as well. And if you're a college student, you can come and volunteer or intern with us. So check us out.
Yeah. How hard is it to get the kids motivated to be able to talk about these issues that matter the most? Because, um, sometimes I say, some of our kids are isolated, some of them are shy, but it seems as though that they're pretty free flowing when it comes to talking about the matters.
Yeah, so I've seen students bloom in very beautiful ways when they start their freshman year of high school. We also provide summer bridge programs to help students transition from middle school to high school. And so I've seen the transformation of young people from being really shy and now wanting to talk to them, facilitating at the youth conference. And so it's a beautiful process to witness, and it's a beautiful thing to support these young people. I also will say that this year and even last year, it has been challenging for many of our students because of the pandemic and the isolation, and a lot of young people are struggling with issues of mental health and insecurities in their households and their community. And so it takes a lot of this is a work of love, right? So it takes a lot of work sometimes, but it's totally worth it. And our young people deserve nothing but the best. And so even on those challenging days, approaching it from that sense of love, knowing that our young people deserve this, and that they can do so many great things if they have the right support system. And so we are here to do that for them.
Have you heard a lot of conversation with them about just COVID and really coming out of that? Because they were in isolation. We all were. I mean, let's be honest, we all were. But for
Right.
them, being away from their friends and their peers, that seemed to have even a more direct impact than maybe even some adults.
Absolutely. And we can even see that in the students, even like their stamina to be in school for a whole day. And then our programs, many of them operate in the after school time, although we do work with them during the school day as well. And so the stamina of young people to be during in school day and to socialize and interact has definitely dropped. And so that's something that we have also observed, pay attention to, and we are supporting our young people to build back that stamina to reconnect with their peers, to reconnect with their teachers. So that has been a big focus of our work over the past year. We also work with them through the pandemic, so Global Kids never went away. We implemented remote programming for them, and we were offering program 5 days a week, so that they could still feel connected to one another, and not feel so isolated. And we also focus a lot on their social emotional health and coping mechanisms, and just providing them with a community where they could feel supported and together, and learn coping mechanisms to go through those really difficult times during the height of the pandemic.
The kids that you serve come from predominantly underserved communities, but as I pointed out earlier, you have a high graduation rate. 99% of the kids who participate in your program go ahead and have a successful graduation rate. I guess for somebody on the outside looking in says, well, what is the secret sauce in making this happen? How does that connect? Because a lot of people would want to have those numbers, but they don't.
Right. It's like I said before, it's about providing them with the support that they need, right? So asking them, checking in with them, being there for them, helping them form healthy relationships with adults, um, having them know that there's someone who cares about them, who's checking in on them, calling their homes when they're not showing up to class, talking to their parents, engaging them, providing that motivation for them to come to school, right? Creating trips so that they can have fun and have something to look forward to. There are many different strategies. I won't say there's like one thing that we do that makes it happen. It's one secret sauce. There's many ingredients, but it is about providing them with that love and that support that they need. Being a teenager, it's hard. We're living in difficult times, a lot of stresses, and so it's really important that we're there for our young people and that we're showing up for them.
Yeah. What's the conversation like now? Now that you've tackled hate crime, you talked about climate change. Are there any other issues that they're discussing that they really want to see brought to the forefront?
Yeah, most recently the issue of gun violence has come up a lot with them. Um, you know, again, they see what's going on in their community. They saw what happened in Texas. They're seeing what has happening in Washington D.C. and the lack of action from our elected officials. So that's definitely something that they want to take action on. We are planning a trip to Washington D.C. to meet with some other young people there and have some experts on policy and gun control. Talk to our young people about um, you know, the issue at hand. And so we want to have young people also think about what are some policy solutions. They really do worry though about adults not listening to them. So part of our work is helping them come to the table, right? Like helping them find out who their elected officials are and know that they work for them, right? The elected officials work for us. Knowing how to look them up, knowing how to schedule a meeting with them. So we're looking forward to doing that work. I know there a lot of them are also paying attention to the Supreme Court and what's happening in regards to women's rights and so many other human rights that are at stake right now.
Yeah. Jatnna Ramirez, thank you so much for being with us. She is the Director of Curriculum and Special Projects at Global Kids. It's been wonderful having you, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. We want you to stay with us because we're going to take a quick break. We do have more show coming up after this.